33% of the league is the same. Where they score from. We get to some NFL talk today as we hit on the Niners' impressive performance, the Mike Shanahan brilliance, and I don't know what else. It all comes up next in what will be a little bit of a truncated tip-off. Got to be honest, it's 5:50 in the morning. Never thought I'd record something at 5:50 in the morning. But 1280 the zone and 97.5 Fox Sports golf tournament today, so I got to get out and go do it. That's right, 97.5, by the way. That's where you get your Jazz games. I got the calendar sitting over here. Monday, October 8th will be your first game. We're inside 30 days to Jazz basketball. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Oklahoma City at home the 12th, a week from today. Excuse me, a month from today, the Jazz will play their first home preseason game. It's really interesting, by the way, Oklahoma City, is they basically decided Serge Ibaka instead of James Harden. Now, some of the reasons might be signability, but they basically have made that decision. The quotes from Sam Presti the other day at the Serge Ibaka press conference, we love James, we want James, but it was pretty telling. So keep an eye on that because it's just an interesting decision. I mean, they clearly got to a point where they had to decide between two, Ibaka or Harden, and they've decided on Ibaka. Who is defensive force? They've decided who they are. And that actually gets to something with the Jazz as the next period of time goes on. The Jazz are going to have to make a decision of who they are. Ty came out that shortened training camp last year wanting to be a defensive team, and then if you recall, we couldn't score. And that really kind of forever changed who we were for the season. Then a huge amount of the moves after that point were made to maintain an offensive presence on the floor. And in turn, I think we were somewhere between 7th and 9th best offensive team, but then we were somewhere between 19th and 21st defensively. I think you'd rather eventually flip those and become a defensive team, but you've got to commit to that. You've got to commit that we are a defensive team first over an offense. Ideally, you'd like to be top 10 in both, then you're just great. But there aren't many teams that can do that, and it might not be fair for us to be able to pull that off. So and I wonder whether or not you can do a little bit of each and still be all right. But it's very hard on a coach when he can't score. And that's what happened, remember, early to us last year is we just couldn't score. And so then kind of forever after, we were making decisions based on scoring. Thought for you that kind of hit me yesterday, and somewhat after talking to Dennis, but interesting. I believe 9 of the 30 front offices in the NBA are now Spurs front offices. That was pointed out to me by Dennis. So I think that's right. What struck me last night about that is how do you make deals anymore? I think this is going to have a huge impact on how deals are made. Because in theory, 9 of the 30 teams want similar like players. And even to kind of the point of the undervalued player who suddenly may become overvalued because the undervalued player who all of the 9 teams like in free agency because he does certain things or is of that mold suddenly has 3 or 4 bidders. The other problem is if you have a player, say you have a high-scoring, inefficient player, that player used to be under high demand because, frankly, everybody just liked people who could score and didn't care necessarily about the numerics and the analytics of the efficiency of an offensive player. Well, now 9 teams all want him or don't want him. And so suddenly trying to move a player who, if you're one of those teams, may become more difficult. I think this is going to have a large impact on the league and player movement coming up in the next period of time. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just remember it. That's definitely an early thought that probably we'll have to bring back near trade deadline. Maybe even as rosters are formed here right at the beginning of the season. I'm doing the series 20 questions before Jazz training camp. And yesterday's questions, where our guys like to score from. And you're welcome to send me questions either at Twitter at LockedOnSports or email them to me at dlock@utahjazz.com. I thought this was kind of interesting how good a three-point shooters these guys all were above the arc, above the break, above the free throw line break. Marvin equally distributed his threes from the corner three or above the break. The corner three is at 41%, which is pretty sweet. Above the break, he was at 36, which is still really good. Mo Williams shot 39% from three above the break last year. And Randy Foye shot 40% from three above the break. Now, it's going to probably take someone smarter than me to really figure out what that means offensively and what it does for you as a team. But I think it allows you to spread the floor a little bit differently. You do want to have – we are not a huge corner three team because we believe the miss turns a fast break the other way. And it probably lets us do – it's hard with Al in the post. Dribble penetration out to the corner is one thing, but Al in the post out to the corner often brings that other defender awfully close. Unless we swing all the way to that far corner, which maybe we'll be able to do because if you now have Al in the post and he flips it out to Mo swings it to Randy, both of them above the break, both of them at 40% from three in that area, then you get to Marvin in the corner, and you suddenly have three guys on the floor who are 40% or better above the break from three. It's kind of a cool concept, isn't it? So let's keep an eye on that as we get closer and try to figure out how what you can do with it. That was my only thought on it. By the way, 9 o'clock this morning, two guys on the 12 podcast will launch with Ian Furness. About 40 minutes today. We had a long one last night. That's how we're kind of doing it. We're doing Tuesday nights, and then we bring it to your direction. Few thoughts on the NFL. I was of the belief that there was just no way that the Niners could statistically do a bunch of things that they did last year. Still am a little bit. I mean, they just had such an incredible low turnover rate, and there were some other areas where you kind of figured that some of those things might not happen. Well, their first week they looked brilliant. There's a moment in time here in the league where if you defend, you're so unique. That's bad English, I know, but you're unique that may be the separator. And the Niners might be there. The amount of teams that can truly alter a game defensively right now in the NFL might be one. Seriously. I mean, the Texans' defense might be pretty good, but it's hard to tell after week one. Otherwise, it might be one team. And if that's the case, then that's a huge separator from where who you are, and maybe an area where we miss on the Niners' ability to not turn the ball over is just incredible. That's only the third team in 2+ regular seasons to not turn the ball over against the Packers. Ironically, or not ironically, but sorry, it's 6 a.m. in the morning, or not ironically, not coincidentally, not awake enough to be able to figure out the correct word here. But all three of those teams beat the Packers. I thought what has not been talked about enough on the RG3 end of things is they ran Baylor's offense, which was really cool. And there's two parts to that. One, will it last? And two, if it does last, how much it dramatically changes the NFL. But they ran Baylor's offense. Indianapolis ran Stanford's offense to some extent. I mean, these guys are really adapting to their stars. But the Colts what Stanford runs is some downfield passing, and that's where the speed of the game you got to learn and you got to adjust and make some reads that you probably have never had to make before and things of that sort. And we saw Andrew Luck didn't look particularly comfortable. The Baylor offense is the read option, the bubble screens, some of those things, quick reaction, played out of the pistol, didn't have to make some of the same decisions got a great rhythm, was awesome. And it's very similar to what Carolina did last year with Cam Newton, which for the first half of the season worked, and for the second half of the season, teams caught up to it. So there's some level where I'll be curious to see if teams catch up to Robert Griffin the third a little bit. Note just came across my Twitter from Darren Ravel that the Murray-Djokovic final had the same audience as the Notre Dame-Pittsburgh game. I'm trying to chew on that here for a second. That seems high. I would never think tennis has as high as a somewhat prime time important college football game. Final thing, BYU's wide receiver Cody Hoffman. Rubel and I were tweeting back and forth about this last night. His ability to catch, his ability to make his catch to target ratio is incredible. His third down go-to element is fabulous. Really seems to be Riley's security blanket. And that's just something that I don't feel as though Drez Anderson, Devontae Christopher, or Reggie Dunn ever were able to do. Might be a size issue. That might really be one where size. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Someone will tweet me and tell me if I'm wrong. But my visual is that Cody's bigger, stronger, better target. Devontae, Drez might be bigger, but particularly Devontae and Reggie are smaller. Maybe the new kid for Utah is going to make that big a difference. But they really need a receiver now who John Hayes can rely on and get to. Final note on Hayes, which I probably should do tomorrow. In fact, I will, because I got to go. I got to go get the kids, get them to the bus stop, get to the golf tournament. Sorry it's short today. There's no time. See ya.